Well, it's October and I literally don't remember September.
Don't worry, it was lame. I'm in the market for a telescope. I mean, it seems pointless to save for retirement now,
The fall colors are coming out, so I guess that's kind of nice in a world of dumpster fires.
aka the hot mess express train. I'm going to bed. If the apocalypse happens, slack me.
I will do that. Have such a good day. Hello, world. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Have Such a Good Day, the show that wants you to do just this.
It's like, I'm like, okay, is our show title like so appropriate for now, or is it becoming inappropriate?
It's like an ironic show title now.
It really
Have
is.
such a good day because we know you're not having one.
It's kind of snarky, but like, not in a mean way.
Hey, listen, we want you to have such a good day because we want to have one as well.
We really do. We're very earnest about it.
We are, yeah. Like there's no wink wink about it. We just understand that it is harder and harder for all of us to do that. So hey, we're all in it together.
Hey, and you know what? I think it's worth the fight, the good fight. Don't you think, Sarah?
I think so. Yeah. We're trying to unpack absurdity of everyday life that we all go through for your entertainment and ours, for all of ours. That is the point of this show. This is a labor of love. Heather and I love doing it. It's because we don't live near each other physically, and we used to. This is our kind of like weekly check-in. It's really fun for us, and we're so happy to have you along for the ride.
It's true. It gives us a good giggle, at the very, very least. Hopefully it does the same for you. And, it brings people together. And, it's the world is full of communities, big and small. And we really appreciate you being along for the ride. So welcome to show 69.
69, dudes! Oh, I've been waiting 69 episodes to say that. That's the Bill and Ted thing, if you didn't get it. But, show my age.
Oh,
but yeah, look at us. 69 episodes, almost 70. We are on a roll.
We really are. So, Sarah, how has your week been? Or should I ask?
So last week, when you asked me the same question, I was like, I actually had a pretty good week. I was kind of I did this fun, online Zoom therapy thing that I got a lot out of. And I was like, life is looking up. And wow, yeah, how much things can change in a week. But I didn't have a bad week, but I think that, and I'm talking to women and men here and everybody in between when I say this, but I know for women specifically, a lot of my, close friends, we all agree that on a good day, something can be like an annoyance. And on a bad day, it sends you into a tailspin.
Oh,
and you're like the tears start and you're like, I don't know why I'm crying, but I am. So anyway, 2 days ago, was it yesterday? Gosh, because I don't even remember what day it is anymore.
It's already Thursday.
I know, right? So it was earlier this week. I had an HVAC meltdown, meaning that the heat and the AC that goes into my apartment had a catastrophic failure, was what the technician told me. And I was like, well, that sounds pretty bad. What do we do? Yeah. And, he's like, oh, yeah, we got to get this out of here. And he's like, did you know that this unit is illegal in the state of California and it's known to cause cancer? And I was like, didn't. No. Okay, cool. Let's just get another one. Well, it turns out that for a variety of reasons that I won't go into all the house planning stuff of it, but because I had a external unit, so basically I just plug, I would tell my Nest to go to a certain temperature in the past, and I have all these vents on the floor, and it would just do that, whether it was hot or cold. Worked really well, maybe too well, because apparently I had some weird ass HVAC unit that should never have been part of my apartment because it's for offices and also illegal. So whatever. But they were like, okay, so we can't do that. We're going to have to take that away, but we're going to install a wall unit, on your wall, one of those, that kind of you have a little remote, and you tell it what to do and it does its thing. And I was like, no. I already have vents in my house. You have to install an external unit. It makes no sense. I have like 8 vents in my house, and I've arranged all my furniture specifically around that, so like there's like airflow. No, no, you're not doing that to me. And also, I don't want that thing on my. Yeah. And they were like, well, it's like way cheaper and like way more energy efficient. My landlord was here, and he was like, it's like, Sarah, I mean, like it's like $8,000 difference. I mean, work with me here. And I was like, I honestly was just like, I just cried. And both the HVAC and my landlord, who are both very cool men, who were they were not being rude to me at all.
They were being reasonable.
Totally reasonable. They were like, what is wrong? And I was like, I just can't handle this right now. I just can't do this. And it was like one of those things where it was like, they kind of, that look, especially when you get it from a man, where it's like, girl, are you okay?
Like, are you on your period? That's like the
Yeah,
first thing they probably think.
right. Like, yeah, like you seem like irrationally upset about this, And I was just like, it was like, it's gonna be weird. It's like asymmetrical on the wall, and I don't want it there. And I have these vents already, and now the vents aren't gonna do anything, and all my furniture is in a certain place, And they were like, oh, we're so sorry. Oh my gosh, what can we do? I finally got my act together and was like, I'm sorry. There are clearly other things going on. This is not ruining my life right now. It was sort of an icing on the cake of a really bad day, and I cried. And I'm going to stop crying now. And everyone was like, okay, we're going to go, and that was the end of it. We, have since kind of moved along, and I've come to terms with the fact that I'm going to have a wall unit that's going to give me heat and AC. So, could be worse. But yeah, it was one of those weeks, Heather. I just, I lost it.
It's like the toothpaste cap thing. It's like when, a couple gets in a fight about something, and it's like obviously more than the toothpaste cap, but the toothpaste cap is what really like puts them over the edge.
Right, right.
But I know what you mean though. There's something about like, I think for me, I probably would have reacted similarly in the sense of, you've got all these vents that are going to be rendered useless. And so it feels like it's not a feng shui thing, but it's like a structural thing that is sort of like, it's not all like perfect anymore. And I think we strive for perfection in our homes, especially right now. I know for me, especially because we're so forced indoors, it's like I nitpick a lot of my house because I'm like, I want, this light bulb isn't right, or this fixture isn't right, or like I just feel like I want everything to be like perfect because we're in there all the time. So I get it. I totally feel you. And, a lot of stuff builds up throughout the day, and you have every right to kind of have a moment.
And there are like, and I mean, there are moments that you have when it's like, you're actually experiencing real trauma, like those are, I mean, I would never be like, oh, stop crying. When someone's like, hey, cry it out, please.
Sure.
For me in that moment, I was like, I might have held things together a little bit more because I could pick my battles. Because,
especially with two guys, because guys definitely get weirded out by crying, because guys tend to like not cry that easily, usually in general.
Well, no, and it was sort of like it was a combination of like, we now fear you, and
they're never gonna come back.
Yeah, like we don't know what you're doing. Like, what is wrong with you? Like we're trying to give you heat and AC, and you don't have either of those right now. And I'm like, just bawling. But yeah, no, it was kind of a it was a week, I was all on my cool high last week, and I felt like my week this week beat me down a little bit more. And I know other people are in that predicament as well and have lots of shittier things happening to them. Sure. So, here we are, and I'm being honest about it. And Heather, I would like to know how your week was.
Thank you very much. I'd like to mention a line from my boyfriend that he said once to me that stuck with me. You know how that happens? Like there's like one thing that someone said and it always sticks with you.
Of course, yeah.
And that thing is, and this was actually recently, he said very calmly, I don't remember what happened or what the context was, but he said, once you realize that everything is a shit show most of the time, you just accept it. And then you just take it in stride because you know that everything is just kind of messy all the time. That's just like human life. human existence. And it does help because sometimes I'll be like, okay, take a deep breath. And yeah. So
Yeah.
my week's actually been, it's been a little, I've been having a hard time getting going. It's already Thursday and I feel like, wait, now I'm
Yeah.
feeling
Have I
good.
woken up yet? Yeah.
And yeah, and like the week is almost over. And I think maybe that's part of it is I tend to have a lot of weeks where it's like top heavy and like there's a lot of that anxiety. And then like once Wednesday rolls around, it's like things start to kind of loosen up a little. But I honestly like a lot of we talked about this last week. I'm not going to get into it at all, but I just wanted to mention, and I know you are experiencing similar things, just like you're basically dealing with a lot of everybody else's chaos because everything's chaotic for
Oh,
everybody right now.
as property managers, yes.
Yeah. And so we're getting like I'll have like a block of like 3 nights that open and then someone will block the middle night only. And you're like, okay. And then like they'll cancel it. And then like, and it's just like, it's a lot of juggling. So I've been trying to manage that with like stride. But one thing that has honestly cheered me up, I think because for me, like when I can have a creative outlet, it makes me like happier. And I feel like if I'm always sort of like grinding, and sort of the myth of Sisyphus and rolling that rock up the hill constantly, just like the daily grind, I get kind of like I get more anxious and less happy, I guess.
Yeah.
So one thing that I've been trying to seek out for a while is like a new inspiration for photography. I've been in and out of, and I know you too, Sarah, you're a good photographer and you used to, use a real camera, and so did I. And I used to do photography in school, like
Yeah.
where you actually develop your photos with chemicals and
Sure.
the
Yeah.
dark
It's
room.
fun.
And
It's really
yeah,
fun.
super creative. And I was very super, super creative in college. And I still have a lot of creativity in me. And I am creative with a lot of different things now that I'm like more of an adult. But I love photography, but I will be honest, like, the easiest thing to use these days is an iPhone. I don't feel a lot of creative inspiration from the camera, even though I know the camera gets better with each iteration. I find that the camera, at least I have like the Max XS. I honestly I feel like I cannot take good photos on it. And I think
Hmm.
I'm having a hard time with like the depth stuff. And so my boyfriend's been really into this thing called Moment. And it's a website, it's a company that makes lenses and filters and lots of camera
Mm-hmm.
equipment. And they do a
Yeah.
lot of stuff for mobile phones. And for a long time, he was like, you really should try out these lenses. I think you'll like them. And I'd never did it on his phone. He has an Android. So like you have to buy a case for it, for your phone before you can use the app, or I'm sorry, before you can use the lenses because they have to like be screwed into the case. So it took me a long time to get a case. Long story short, I finally got the case and it's really opened my world a lot. It's been really fun. And so I'm actually borrowing his lenses when he doesn't use them. And I'm probably going to buy my own eventually, but he has a bunch of them. He has like a telephoto, macro, and anamorphic. He's got some filters I haven't used yet, but I got to tell you, it's been really fun. We have a lot of, since we live in nature, I never really got all that excited about taking like macro kind of like close up stuff,
Mm-hmm.
of like bugs and flowers and leaves and, whatever, blades of grass. But it's been so fun. I've been outside just like, it's like a whole new world now with these tiny little lenses. What's so great about them is they're so small, you can just put them in your pocket. And so it really, I think the reason why I kind of stepped away from photography is it's a little bit cumbersome. I want to be kind of on the go and you want to feel like it's easy to use and take with you and whatnot. So this is really cool. So if any of you want to know more about this, ping me, but it's shopmoment.com and there's all kinds of options. It took me a while to pull the trigger, but if you're looking for something to enhance your cell phone, I highly recommend. They also have a bunch of apps. So you can use their Moment app, which is their camera app, which is actually great. And then they have like an RTRO app, which is kind of like a retro filmmaker app that you can kind of put cool filters and that kind of thing. So what I'm going to do for you patrons, I posted a few little tests on my Instagram, but I'm going to post a little photo gallery for you of what I've been taking so far. And maybe it'll inspire you too.
I think that's great, Heath. I mean, you're right. We both have always been kind of photo chicks.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a time where, and it was before iPhones. It was before smartphones. I mean, I say iPhone because I'm an iPhone user, but smartphones in general, where there might be a camera on a phone, but it would never be like your prominent camera.
Mm-mm.
If you cared, you had a camera with you. And it's funny, I took a bunch of stuff out of boxes in my studio where I am now, and a lot of the stuff is just like it's been in boxes for years. I don't even open it when I move to a new house. I'm just like, I don't know, it's something that I care about in there somewhere, like probably some like old yearbooks or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I opened up and it was like this old, not DSLR, so not digital, but an
Mm-hmm.
SLR camera
Mm-hmm.
that my dad gave me way back in the day that I used in college. That
Mm-hmm.
was my camera. And in fact, the photography class that I used in college, we digital SLRs were like kind of just starting to emerge, but we weren't allowed to use them because the whole idea was like the instructor was like, no, we're doing everything manual.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole point. That's how you're going to learn how this works.
Mm-hmm.
And he was right. But and I actually I opened it up and I looked through the viewfinder and I was like, oh shit, I have film in here that
No
I
way.
never I don't know. I forgot about, like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how long this thing has been in a box, but I'll tell you, I mean, at least 10 years, maybe
Are
more.
you going to get it developed?
Yeah, of course.
You totally
Well,
should.
there were only a few photos, so it's like of like 24 photos, I still have like 12 left or something. Um, but it's funny because the iPhone, which is, that's my guy. And I'm with you. I'm a couple years behind the latest model,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still like really good.
Sure.
And the bokeh and all that stuff effect is very they do it well. And my DSLR and a variety of other cameras I have, well, you can't see behind me, but they're like all laid out because I'm like, what am I doing with all these cameras? It was sort of like 12 megapixels, 20 megapixels.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, so good, but like they're all crappy compared to what I have in my phone now.
I
So
know.
that's actually my best camera. But I understand your feeling, like there is a fun nostalgia part of this that you either aren't going to have or you have to create.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that the depth thing is so cool. Like I feel like I want to be yeah, I think like it's when you have like a lens and you can be more strategic, it's more fun and satisfying as opposed to like quick snapshot. You're not really making a huge effort. And I think it's like going back to the effort maybe is part of the fun.
Yeah, totally.
Pretty cool stuff.
Remember the app Hipstamatic?
Yeah, I still have it.
So do I. And I looked at it the other day and like the company has like done like a huge pivot. So it's like there are lots of things that it's like not doing the way it's supposed to be doing
Uh,
anymore. But I'm like, dude, I gave you guys money. Back in the day, I gave you guys some money. And so there was like an option to like upgrade to the new Hipstamatic or like stay at the legacy Hipstamatic. And I was like, no, like I liked this for its
yeah.
fun reasons back in the day. But man, that's an app I hadn't opened in quite some time until recently.
That really brings back memories. I actually remember going to one of their parties in San Francisco and they had like the coolest
Me too. Yeah.
space and they had this like rooftop thing and I remember there being like a cool like music really cool musician, like I don't know. Anyway, it all blurs together at this point.
It does. Oh, the days of startups in San Francisco.
And rubbing elbows with other human beings.
Oh yeah. Remember
That
that?
too.
Yeah, that too.
I was thinking today how much I desperately miss bars and restaurants and just like, but like indoors, not on a patio, indoors, like with no
Mm.
masks and like rubbing elbows with like
Right.
someone next to you, like at the bar and just the intimacy of it. I like, I miss it so much. I really do.
Yeah, I do too, and at the same time, I feel like as the days go by, I understand that as normal less and less, because
Hmm.
normal to me is like, if you have to go to the store, go in quick, wear a mask, get your shit, go,
Yep.
you know? And that's what I do. I do that all
Mhm.
the time, or I order things when because I managed an Airbnb property. When the people came today, I wasn't really sure what time they were coming, and I was actually, I had put Otis in the car and I was gonna do some errands, and they just happened to show up right as I was leaving. So I was like, okay, let's say hello and whatever. And our driveway is pretty big, but it's there's only so many cars you can have in a certain way, and then it gets weird for people to turn around and then go back down the driveway.
Mhm.
Kind of hard to explain. Anyway, so when people come, I try to kind of be on hand as much as possible to sort of point out some obvious things, especially because I don't want them to block me in later.
Mhm.
And the the it was mom and a dad, because there were kids with them, obviously. They got out of the car and they both were wearing masks. And, we're kind of talking to each other. They're probably 30 feet away from me ish,
Mhm.
on the other side of the driveway. Is this the right place for us to park? I say, yeah, that's great. Hi, I'm Sarah. And all that stuff. And they were real nice. And eventually the woman says to me, so do you not wear a mask here?
Mm.
And I was like, well, I don't when I'm alone, which I was until 5 seconds ago. I didn't know
Wow.
you were
Was she mad
like,
about it or was
no,
she
I think she was more just kind of like concerned.
Hmm.
I wasn't offended. I wasn't offended,
Mhm.
but I was like, I mean, if you don't tell me specifically when you're coming, I'm here by myself. My dog's gonna run around, poop
Mhm.
on the grass. I'll clean it up later, and I'm not wearing a mask because I'm here by myself, like,
Yeah, there's no need.
on, like, acres of property, right?
Mhm.
But you just so happened to be here when I was leaving, so here we are. Hi. Um, and yeah, like, I'm not going to wear a mask, but I will if I have to somehow go into your unit for some reason.
Mhm.
It was just like, I don't know, it was just like one of those things where I'm like, "Girlfriend, chill."
Well, that's the problem. It's like everybody feels differently about it. So it's like you never know what you're up against. Like you're just some
I mean,
people
I'm
do
not
not care.
wearing a mask by
In your
myself at
car,
my
yeah.
house. Yeah, like,
Speaking of that, actually, I have been seeing a lot of that lately where people are wearing masks just alone in their car. And I can't help but think that maybe it's just they're doing errands and they're popping in and out, so they're just leaving it on.
sure, and
But
I do that sometimes. I will.
yeah,
Sometimes I'll just, like, forget to take it off because it's not uncomfortable, and that's whatever.
sure.
Sometimes I get home and I'm like, "Oh, shit, I'm still wearing my mask. Oh,
Really?
whatever."
I always have it around my chin. Like I kind of
Uh,
like leave it like,
I've definitely forgotten a couple times,
huh.
but I also I don't know, it's weird. I I somebody saying like, "Why aren't you wearing a mask when we showed up unannounced?"
Yeah.
I'm like, well, because I didn't know you were coming,
Yeah, and, like,
but
you don't wanna say that, but
and
it's,
and
like,
now that you're
implied.
here, I'm 30 feet away from you. We're, like, yelling at each other
Well,
over
that's
it,
the other thing, it's like, that's a
like,
huge social distance. Like, that's a
right.
decent social distance where you don't have to wear a mask. If you're outside, you don't really have to. So, like, she's
No.
also slightly wrong in that way. You were far enough away that you could have both taken your masks off.
I definitely don't wanna seem like I'm a person who's like, "Oh, I'm anti-mask." I'm totally pro-mask.
Sure.
There are certain situations where I'm like, what?" Like I tried to get away from civilization for this exact reason, and now you're mad at me.
It's an
But,
interesting time, Sarah. That's
it
for
really
sure.
is. Speaking of interesting, how'd you like that presidential debate?
Oh,
The
boy.
the first of, I think there's going to be 3 more.
Didn't we mention something about a dumpster fire slash hot mess express train?
We did.
Something like
Yeah.
that?
That would definitely be in play here. So, without getting political, because I know people hate it when I do that, I watched the debate. I watched it on CNN, although it was simulcast on lots of other networks.
Mhm,
Big deal. On Tuesday, September 29th. Yeah. And I thought the whole thing was, I mean, I said on Twitter, it was a shit show, and it
mhm.
was.
I think a lot of news outlets summed it up in that way.
It was handled badly, and it was a whole thing. Anyway, but before that, I had, because I'm trying to save money right now. I'm definitely in penny pinching mode. I've lost some work this year, and I am, trying to keep afloat, and we're going into the holidays and, all that
Mhm.
stuff. So one of the things that I dropped a couple of months ago was YouTube TV. YouTube TV, for anybody who isn't familiar, is not like YouTube. I mean, YouTube is YouTube. YouTube TV is basically a cable subscription alternative. It works exactly the same way for like just way less money. If you
Mhm.
have DirecTV or like Comcast or whatever, this is just the better choice. But they've raised their prices. It
Mhm.
used to be, I think it was like $50, and then it was 60. Then it's like now it's like 65 per month. That's still a lot cheaper than traditional cable
Sure,
subscriptions.
which is like over $100.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm also like, I just don't, I mean, I don't know. I just don't care about if it's the Oscars or, particular like baseball, football, basketball game, or something. It's like, oh yeah, like I want network TV, but otherwise I don't care. But I also used to get around this because if anybody who's familiar with an over the air antenna, you can mount that sort of behind your TV or kind of your wall or somewhere that's not totally in the way, and you can get free over the air network channels for free, not cable but network.
Mhm.
So like NBC, ABC, CBS, PBS, that kind of stuff, and that's really helpful. Well, in my current place where I live, my TV is above the fireplace. So, and it's like way above the fireplace. There's no like issue with fires or anything, but around the television, because it's the chute that
Mhm.
goes up, it's metal on the inside of the wood.
Mm.
And because of that, my OTA antennas don't work. They can't get a
Oh.
signal because it's not a normal wall. It's like, what are you trying to
Oh,
we're not going
man.
through like metal. So I can't do that for free. And I've been doing that for years.
I know you actually told me to do that. You were the one that set mine up, I think, the first time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I could probably try to figure out where to put it on a different wall near a window because it's supposed to it where I live, like the whole thing is like what it's trying to do is pull information from the nearest radio tower.
Mhm.
I don't even know where that is, but it's probably Santa Rosa, and that's east. So it would have to kind of go in a certain place, and that would just be really weird with my whole setup, and there'd be cables, and it would be a whole issue. Anyway, so I was just sort of like, all right, I just won't have network TV. What does it really matter? I don't care.
Like, there's nothing going on anyway. There's no
Yeah,
real
not
well, there's
not
some things, but
not that often.
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, I want to watch sports, but 2020 is so weird. Like sports are weird. Maybe I'll just take a break from all this
Mhm.
stuff, and just like watch some movies and read books. So I was doing that, but then when the debate was coming up, I was like, I do want to watch this. I want to be part of this.
Mhm.
And so I was like, all right, what do I do? All right, let me, sign up for YouTube TV again. And of course, like, because YouTube understands that I was previously a subscriber,
Mhm.
but if I use a different email address, they're
Mhm.
like, oh, cool. You have like, here's your like free tier,
Sure.
where I'm like, perfect. So I can just watch this and then cancel right afterwards.
Mhm.
But, and again, that was a couple days ago, but it just got me thinking of like how much a la carte viewing for all of us has gotten so complicated. I mean, listen, if you're still paying $100 plus for your cable subscription, you're paying too much, but I guess that's easy.
Sure.
For someone like me, I'm like, okay, what do I need?
What do you pay for it now?
Well, I'm paying YouTube TV,
Mhm.
and I am paying for Netflix,
Mhm.
and that's it.
What about HBO?
I don't pay for it, but I may or may not have a way to watch HBO content
I see, I see.
otherwise, no one take me to jail, please. I try to keep it really simple, but and then there's Disney Plus. And I mean, Mandalorian was like my favorite show of like the last year. Like I love that show.
Mm.
It's like I got to pay for that when it comes back, which it is.
Mhm.
And so it turns into something where it's like, yes, you have more choice, but you end up paying probably about the same amount of money, if not more, because you're paying for all these different networks because everybody has sectioned off.
Totally, and it's not even just, like, the video on demand stuff or movies on demand. It's like, because I actually canceled my Netflix. It's so funny to actually do it, and then they go it's like, "You sure you wanna go?" And it's kind of weird not to be part of the Netflix world, but I felt like I would go on there. I've seen everything I wanted to see in the movies because they do have a fair amount of good movies now, but I've seen them all. And I would scroll around and I could never find anything. And I felt like all I did was
Yeah.
go on there and then leave and not watch anything. And so
Right.
I feel like HBO has a pretty decent like movie, they rotate. But again, there's not that many series that I'm really watching. I mean, HBO used to be kind of like poppin', but I think also the thing that overwhelms me is like, the Audible thing. Like, I don't even think I like signed up for Audible, but I like all of a sudden was getting these free credits to not free. And I realized I was getting charged like $16 a month. I don't even remember signing up for this, but this is actually nice because I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks. But again, I've had to write down, I'm like, okay, where are my subscriptions? List them out because you can easily lose track.
Totally. I had the same experience with Audible and I was like, excuse, cancel. Not because I don't like audiobooks, but I'm like, I did not sign up for this. Like, I don't know what subscription got me into this whole thing, but I was charged for several months before I realized.
I know, me too. The same thing. And I'm kind of like, but I do actually want to get a couple more audiobooks. I'm like, I might as well just like pay for the next month, because I guess it is a good deal if you're doing the monthly and you get at least 2 titles a month is actually not a bad deal.
Yeah.
But anyway, I know it's just chaos and everything's chaos. No, but it's funny. You might find this chuckle worthy, but right now the sign off words are like stay safe, be well,
Yeah.
whatever. Like stay safe, I feel like is a new one.
There are certain email signatures where I'm like borderline offended.
Like what?
Stay safe and be well. That's off. And like it just depends on who it comes from. I understand that your intentions are good, but it can come off as very patronizing.
Oh yeah, and it's funny. I always think of you when I get stuff like that because I know I would always want to know how you would react. But I got one the other day that was blessings, and then like stay safe and be well. And I don't know how to respond to someone saying blessings to me. I'm not going to heart that. Anyway, I just think it's funny that it's become this whole thing. And like, I get it, like people want to show that they care and they probably do when they say it. And I think it's sweet. It's also,
Yes.
yeah, sometimes it can be a little much, but it's all about kind of those pep talks these days. I mean, at least like with your circles, keep your chin up and stay safe and be well, hold your head up. Don't worry, don't panic, like all of these things.
Yeah, I'm sending you some blessings. I never did before, but now I'm going to.
You know what, Sarah? I think that should be your new, like instead of saying best, Sarah, you should say blessings, comma, Sarah.
Oh my gosh. If I did that,
That's so you.
I'd never hear the end of it. Yeah. Blessings upon blessings, comma, Sarah. He's right back.
But so what I thought I would do just to like keep things light and fun, and these kinds of things make me happy. I was thinking of just sharing with you some things, some good things, some simple good things that keep me safe and keep my chin up lately.
All right. All right. Sounds good.
The first of those things is picking apples. Man, it is really a special thing. You really have a lot of trade-offs when you move to the country, Sarah. I know we talk about this all the time, but there are a lot of things I do miss about being in civilization, but there are a lot of wonderful things that you get in the country that you will not get in civilization. And one of those things is having lots of apple trees and fruit trees where they're all, they've all been kind of like over the summer, they're kind of starting to sprout and everything. This is the time when you can actually pick them and eat them. So I've been watching them grow like all summer and now they're ready to pick. And I'm telling you, these are damn good apples. I mean, these are better than apples that you buy at the store, even like the best that you buy in the store. I mean, they're just to be able to pull a piece of fruit off a tree and eat it right then and there. So like I'll be like in my house and I'll just be like, I gotta have a hankering for an apple. And I'll just walk out the front door, a couple steps and pick an apple. It's amazing. And I brought my juicer back out. It's been so great because I have enough stuff to juice and make green juice. So I've got, everything from, every kind of vegetable in the garden right now. So it's been amazing. I've been making green juices. I baked a whole chicken, Sarah. This is something I've been wanting to do for a year. It's like a silly thing that's not even hard, but I don't really like handling meat, like raw meat. And I think that it was a daunting task because it's like an entire piece of animal that just felt daunting. It's not very hard to do, but it was very satisfying, like actually doing it. And it tasted so damn good.
And I bet it's made the whole kitchen smell really good too.
Oh, it was so good. I can't wait to do it again. Also, I just love fall, and I know you do too. I love wearing sweaters and hoodies and boots, and the fall is in the air up here, you know, and I've lived in places that don't have distinct seasons. Well, here we do. And it really has that kind of, it's still warm out, but it's like got that kind of smell and that feeling that I love. It kind of warms the cockles of my heart. The thought that I might go to Hawaii for my belated birthday, this is maybe more of a girl can dream kind of thing, but I've been really toying with these $300 tickets to Kauai for maybe January or February when the winter gets to me. So I'm going to continue to dream about that. And
Yeah.
I have a really fun Slack channel with some of my friends. It's called A Few of My Favorite Things. And we kind of talk about like little things from like a candle to, I don't know, like, and it could be anything that you just recently purchased that makes you happy. And my friend Morgan recommended this silk eye mask for sleeping. And it's just wonderful. It makes me so happy. And, honestly, the thought of having a real espresso machine and a telescope and an outdoor fire pit and a croquet set, maybe Santa will bring them. And then I have
Gotta
this
be
whole
good.
yeah, exactly. I have this whole fantasy about, I was talking to my friend Lisa about when we need to pick up all the pieces of this total shit show, having like a pied a terre somewhere in civilization, like a little shack somewhere that could be my little place I can go every couple months to get out of the country and to just, see a show and go to a museum and see some friends. And I really have this fantasy life in mind for the coming years that I'm really going to have my eye on that prize. And that gives me joy.
Well, with any luck, we'll be in a position where that would make sense. Because right now, I mean, I'm near San Francisco. Do I go there? No, because I don't want to
That's
be around all those
true.
damn people.
Exactly. But maybe down the road when we have like a PR agent for Have Such a Good Day and,
There you
we're
go. Yeah.
rolling in the dough, we
And
can,
we've really made the big time.
yeah.
Heather, it's funny. You mentioned apples. I grew up on an apple orchard.
I remember that. Yeah.
I mean, apples, if I know anything, it's apples.
Dem apple.
And I, like what we talk Fuji, Gala, Macintosh, Jonna Gold, Pink Lady. I mean, all the
You know your
apples.
apples.
I know my apples. And I resonate so much like the idea of just being like, I'm a little peckish. I'd like an
Yeah.
apple.
Yeah.
Take an apple off the tree, maybe add a little peanut butter to it,
Maybe
give yourself a little protein fat.
the world is your
Maybe
oyster.
maybe you just eat the apple. Do a little cheese.
I mean, do you bite into the apple or do you cut it in pieces?
I usually cut mine in pieces, but I mean, either way, I mean, I've
I do
eaten so
both.
many apples in my life, it doesn't even matter. But I really do like that is a joy. There is no apple tree where I live now, but there is a lemon tree. And
Oh,
it's
I love a
pretty,
good lemon
it's
tree.
and it was kind of dormant for a while because
Mhm.
they're actually winter
Oh yeah,
um
ours are dormant too.
citruses. But
Mhm.
but you can see that there are a bunch of new lemons they're coming up right now,
Mhm.
that'll be available in the next couple of months. um Same idea where I'm like, I need a lemon. Oh my gosh, we have a lemon tree.
And lemon are such like a staple. Like I make a lot of homemade salad dressing and you need a half a lemon, at least a half a lemon for that. And
Oh
yeah,
sure.
and lemons are like kind of expensive. They're kind of like avocados, I feel like.
Add a little lemon to some tea. Now the tea is twice as fun, you know, or your fish or whatever. I mean,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
I'm a
fish. There
big
you
lemon
go.
fan as well.
Yeah, a couple more things I wanted to mention. Tim Serta, I believe is how you pronounce his last name.
That's
He
yeah,
just joined
Tim.
our Discord.
Tim, my old buddy from college. We
Yeah,
go
you
way
guys know
back.
each other. That's awesome.
We do, and so glad to have him. And it's been fun to hang out with him on Discord as well.
Totally. And James Raven Nerd, he's been around for evs. He's just like, one of our regs.
Woo woo!
Those guys were talking about there's 2 full moons this month. And I actually
Yeah.
think that's kind of exciting. That kind of makes me happy too. And then
Well,
my final thing I will say is that I've been doing this dance yoga class, which you would be sort of surprised to think that I'm even going to yoga because things are closed down, but it's a really cool little small studio. I've been so particular about the type of yoga I do for so many years. And I don't deviate that much. But this class, it kind of like opened some doors for me. I'm like, I'm really into it. It's super fun. it's like, you know how much I love to dance, which I can't really do anymore because clubs are closed and whatnot. But it incorporates
all that clubbing you were doing.
Oh yeah, all
Yeah.
that clubbing. Well, back in the day.
I know what you mean though. Yeah.
But yeah, it's so much fun, and it really brings me joy every week. So I'm really grateful for that. So there are things to be grateful for. I really would like to know, you guys out there, what is keeping your chin up? The double full moon this month? I don't know, like a whole chicken that you baked recently? Let us know at hi@havesuchagoodday.com.
Also, speaking of being thankful and just spreading the love, want to thank our patrons. Patreon.com/have such a good day is where you can find out more about how to be a patron if you aren't already. And to everybody who is already, thanks so much. We really appreciate it. We offer a ad-supported free version of the show. So if you are finding it somewhere besides Patreon, we don't want to charge you if you are not in a position to be able to pay, or if that's not your jam right now, all good. We'd love for you to join and grow our Patreon community as much as possible, because that's kind of where all the good stuff happens.
Yeah, and come and hang. We're all about like trying to cheer you guys up. So hopefully that's something you're interested in. We got some new patrons actually.
Indeed. Heather, tell us about that.
We got Chris Jeffrey. Woo woo! We got Jason Bose.
I would say Bose. Yeah. Woo woo. Hey Jay.
And then Matthew Richmond, who upgraded his patronage.
All right. Well,
yeah,
thanks,
welcome,
Matthew. Absolutely cool. Absolutely cool. So, Heather, we talked about our homework.
This is
in
true.
our last episode.
I did. I mostly
did you finish yours?
I have about 20 minutes left. I was
did.
trying to hustle to. Here's the problem. I watch so many like Italian horror movies right now, and that's what we do at night. Like we make dinner and then we watch, like we have a whole list of movies we're going through right now. And so it's kind of hard to deviate from that, because I don't know if my boyfriend wants to watch Unpregnant. So I have to find some time to watch it on my own.
I think he would like it because it's a good movie.
I think you're right. And it's funny. So,
and just to remind folks,
yeah,
Heather gave me the task to watch We Are Who We Are, which is an HBO series, a miniseries. I don't think there's going to be another season after this. And then I gave her the task to watch the movie Unpregnant, which we had both watched. I watched the movie and she had watched the beginning of the series, and so we said, you're gonna like this stuff.
Yeah, sort of like a movie club, if you will. Like just something they're very different. Actually, I mean, they're both about kind of youngish people, but I thought Unpregnant was way better than I thought. Like, because I think, you see the ad or you see the trailer and you're like, oh, this seems kind of like Mean Girls circa 2020 or whatever.
Yeah, maybe like slapstick, not that funny. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's actually really well written and good acting. It's cute. Like at first it felt a little cliche, like, because there's a lot of those cliches with like high school people, right? Yeah, they're like seniors in high school or something. But I thought it was really clever and well written and well directed. And I did notice the director had directed the pilot of one of your favorite shows, I'm Sorry.
I love I'm Sorry. Oh, so good. Yeah.
I hope that comes back someday.
Me too. I didn't even know that. When you mentioned that to me, Heather wrote that to me in a text, and I was like, what are you sorry about? Oh, the show.
Yeah.
Took me a minute. I didn't understand. Like, I was like, oh, Heather's very sorry that the director, directed something else. But yeah, no, it's listen, this movie is making, I would not call it full on comedy, but I would say it is making a comedic situation out of a very grave situation.
Yeah, which is hard to do.
That is hard to do. And, I wouldn't just be like, oh, blanket, everybody will love this movie, because not everybody would. I liked it a lot.
So what did you think of the show? What did you think of We Are Who We Are?
I like it. So there's only been 3 episodes so far.
Yeah.
I'm all caught up. I watched the most recent one, and I like it. So for anybody who is not familiar, I don't want to, there's no real spoilers to give you, but I'll try my best not to just give you too much information if you want to watch it for yourself. But the general premise is some American kids live on a military base in an area of Italy that's not like, it's not like a big Italian city. It's not like you're like, oh, I'm in Florence or Rome. No, it's like some kind of like a smallish town on the water, but that's where the base is and that's where they live. And there are a variety of Americans who live there and are army brats. You know, I'm
Yep.
using my quotes with my hands, who are sort of navigating life. And it is pretty, it's, there's some layers going on. And I
It's
really
interesting.
like the show. And it's the show kind of like every once in a while, like it'll give you something where you're like, that was weird.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the filmmaker Luca Guadagnino
Yeah.
is really
Who was
deep
Call Me by
and
Your Name, right? Say,
mhm,
which
he's
and
Italian.
people sort of go like, oh well, you know, the guy that they cast is like the, you know, the sort of the young, you know, protagonist in the show is like so much like that show or that movie. I'm not sure I feel that way. They
Mhm.
seem kind of different. I mean, this kid is like kind of messed up
Yeah,
in his own ways and very strange relationship with his mother, played like
very interesting.
Sevigny. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, somebody tell me what you think about it. But yeah, Heather, I'm glad that you, because when you brought it to my attention, I was like, yeah, I'll get to it. And then once I watched the first episode, I was like, oh yeah, this is, I like this.
I figured you would like it.
Yeah,
It has a lot of layers, like you said. There's a lot of issues, like this day and age issues that they tackle. It's pretty deep, and he's a great God. He's just really good at like the cadence of his filming and just like the feeling of it. And I think it looks really beautiful. Like he's a really
right.
he's a film guy. He's a filmmaker, so
Well, and the
you
girl
really
who
get a
plays
nice vibe
Caitlin
from
is
it.
just like, oh my gosh, what a star. Like, I
Yeah,
can't even look
she's
at
really
her. She's
good.
so good. Yeah.
She's really good.
Yeah.
I totally agree. She's definitely a star in the making. And this is her first thing. Like this is like her first credit on IMDb, which I thought was interesting.
Insane. What do you think? Do you want to give me another, like,
Yeah, we should do that. Well, I think I want you to watch a Giallo movie.
I don't want to watch a horror movie.
No, it's not horror. It's more of
Okay.
like murder mystery kind of thing. Let me
Well,
think
that's
about this.
as long as I won't have like nightmares about monsters
No.
because I that happens
I
often.
don't even watch a lot of monster movies. Like let me be clear. When I say horror, it's honestly I watch way more thriller types, which can be like a cop, kind of suspense sort of
Yeah, like
thing.
a whodunit.
Yeah, like it's not there. There's usually not monsters, honestly.
And I get that, but they're just I don't know. There's a certain type of scary that I'm like, it just does not work with me once I go to
Mhm.
sleep because it'll come through in ways that, you know, where I wake up like in a panic. However, let's talk about horror recommendations because we got some feedback from some of our viewers
We did. I love feedback.
or listeners, I suppose. We're not really doing viewing these days.
Why don't you take Long Welsh?
I'll take Long Welsh. Long Welsh was thinking about Heather's horror recommendations and wanted to suggest The Quiet Earth. New Zealand rather than Australia, but very low budget and weird. Plays rather like a long episode of Outer Limits, like Inconsistent Moon or 12.01, which is the good 1991 with Kurt Wood Smith, not the crap 1993 one. Long Welsh clearly understands this genre and has some recommendations for you.
Yeah, is it inconstant mood or inconsistent? I don't know. Well, he can clarify for us. But yeah, I looked it up. I don't really know where to find it. But Long Welsh, thank you so much for recommending. I always love these recommendations.
Totally. It's how we like find cool stuff.
Exactly. And I love the words low budget and weird. I'm into it. And then Jude Sturman, him and I have long conversations about movies just over the last like year or so. Since COVID, I've been getting into Scandinavian thrillers. Didn't even know Nordic noir was a thing. They combine compelling story, great acting, and breathtaking scenery. If you haven't checked this genre out previously, start with Rebecca Martinson on Acorn TV, another service I don't have, Marcella on Netflix, or Trapped on Amazon Prime. And, I have heard of Marcella and Trapped. Thanks, Jude. This is awesome because I didn't really think of Nordic noir. Like, I didn't know that was really a subgenre or the Scandinavian thrillers. But then I thought, oh, that must be Girl with the Dragon Tattoo stuff because that's Scandinavian.
Swedish,
Swedish.
right?
And so
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, that is a
Also
genre. And I love that stuff. So,
Midsummer too.
oh yeah,
The movie I hated
Midsummer.
the most in the world.
Oh gosh, I loved it. It was thought provoking. I mean, I see why you hated it, but I mean, think about it. It's a huge conversation to have around this movie. I mean, that says a lot about it.
I really, I was so wound up about this
You were.
when I first, watched it, that I watched it twice. And I watched it twice in my house by myself. I lived in
That says
LA
a
at the
lot.
time. So I gave it a good shot.
Mhm.
But I also and I don't want to belabor the point of like how awful that movie was, but like, I mean, that movie was like that's like trauma to me.
I
I
agree.
can't watch stuff like that.
I agree. And I totally 100% agree, although you did watch it twice. But I think that there could have
try,
left.
trying to be like, maybe it's better the second time, and I was like, no, it's still horrible.
Well, there's one particular part of it that I think could have been left on the editing room floor. You didn't really need it. The backstory about the family I thought was pretty unnecessary and gratuitous, and it bothered me too a lot. Like I think they could have skipped it.
Oh, and
Anyway,
that's in like the first 5 minutes of the movie where you're
yeah,
like, oh gosh, now I'm
too
gonna like
much.
pee my pants and
You
have a
didn't
really
need it
bad time.
either. You didn't need. You could have done it in a way that you didn't have to show it. You could have just been, it could have been incorporated in the story, but
Ugh.
showing it was a little. I thought that was a mistake. But you
And
know
sorry
what,
if this
Ari
is
Aster.
spoiling everything for anybody, but it's been out for a while, so whatever. But no, I mean, truly, I to this day, like people were like, "Oh my god, it's so brilliant," and I'm like, brilliant, or just like something that like sends me to like a therapy. Like I don't, no, I can't.
I
That
get it.
that kind of stuff, I will have nightmares
I
about.
don't
Like
really like trauma
can't
stuff
do it.
either. I totally agree. Like stuff that's more realistic or like, yeah, there is something about his filmmaking that is really traumatic. I totally agree with you. Like I get like upset about it. And I try not to watch that stuff often. A lot of the stuff that I'm watching is a little more stylish and it has elements of thrillers, but it's not really. Anyway, I'm going to have to get a list to you. So we're going to do this movie club again.
Good.
We're going to get organized and figure out what to throw at each other. But
We will.
until next time,
we hope you have such a good day. And I will remain Sarah.
and I will remain Heather forever.
That's
Until
right.
the next life.
Peace.
Peace out.